I'll just start here. Why don't I have you guys just introduce yourselves and how long you've been with Grasshopper?
All right. Well, I am Michael Kravitzsky the fifth, and I've been with Grasshopper for my entire life. My grandfather started it. My dad ran it. My uncle was here. My great grandfather was a part of it. So I'm actually fourth generation. So it's always been a part of my life.
My name's John Patterson. I'm the sales manager, general manager. This is my 37th season, I think. Yeah, 37. So I've been working for the Kravitsky family and Mike's grandfather and his great grandfather's father, and now working side by side with Mike. And through the years, started with production and sales and maintenance and scheduling, and have kind of progressed to helping with the recruiting and training and estimates and sales and all different aspects of the business, but settling right now into concentration on sales.
So we'll get into sort of the nitty-gritty on like the second location and what it meant to the company to be able to open that second location. But first, I am curious about what this season has sort of been like for the both of you. Obviously, we're just getting started, but are there any unexpected challenges or I know weather has been kind of crazy this spring. So what's that been like for your crews to deal with?
Well, this is a little. We got a little bit slower start this year. We shoot for March 1st every year to be our target start date. Um, Again, we're working with the weather. Everything kind of depends on what Mother Nature's doing. So we got out, I think, March 10th this year, so a little bit behind, and then had a couple days we couldn't go out in between there. So that's a challenge every year. You never know because it's it's Mother Nature. Um, but yeah, otherwise it's definitely more. Uh, there's just a lot more going on. We're making a lot of changes with the expansion, hiring people, office staff, technicians. So we're kind of just ramping up in all aspects. I think one of the other biggest challenges is right now just getting the products from sourced with everything going on in the world today. That's been a bit of a challenge, but we're making it work and getting through it.
When you say with like getting the products, are you talking about like gasoline surcharges, or are you talking about like where is that kind of factoring in?
Yeah, gasoline definitely, but even just getting urea from these other countries shipped to us with the straight, all that stuff going on, and just getting that urea and ingredients that we need to make the products that we need. It's not us specifically, it's the blenders and the manufacturers, but that's been a bit of a struggle, but we're working around it with what we can.
And before I ask John a little bit about like how you kind of pass that cost along and what that's like, I'm just sort of curious, like beyond just passing extra costs along, how do you contend with that, right? Like you, on one hand, you're getting off to a later start because of the weather, and then you're also dealing with adding on this second location, and ramping up your operations, and now you're also dealing with this, this difficulty with product. So, what are some of the ways that you guys are kind of dealing with that?
Go ahead, John.
Well, just to emphasize what Mike was saying, yeah, this year was a very cold winter. So we had one of the colder winters in probably, I think it was 20 years. That has an effect on some of the early planners and people more um, thinking about winter time and their heating bills. And I think concentrating on all the winter aspects when usually you start thinking about spring and maybe late February, March, it was still really winter mode with a lot of people. So that's one thing. And two, yeah, everything is going on with the economy and in the world. When gas is creeping up, four something a gallon, they're talking on the news about $5 a gallon. I heard somewhere that 80% of the world's urea comes from the trouble spots in the Mideast, and all of that filters down to, I think, the availability of fertilizer. So I'm sure there's inventory and stockpiles out there, but then that chain is going to start being concerned about where the next load's coming from, and that affects things. So we're partnered with a private equity company, and we can talk to you more about how they've assisted in getting us this second location. But also there's strength in numbers in the umbrella group that they can shop around and try and find the best value and prices on products. So a lot of planning and behind the scenes on that to get our best deals and keep us ahead of what's going on with inventory. And we do have other vendors we've worked with that are on emergency call in case something does happen, so that we can dig deep to relationships and find some substitute products if that happens.
That makes sense. I'm curious. Well, first, I just want to know how long have you guys been PE backed?
Since 2023.
Got it. Okay, gotcha. I am curious about like managing client expectations at a time like this. Have you noticed any changes in client expectations this spring as opposed to other seasons?
Pricing. I think people are very concerned about pricing and what's going to cost for the year, and not so quick to, while the core group is there and we have loyal customers, you have to be willing to listen and negotiate with them on what their program is and cost and different discounts. And this has been a year where it's been very concentrated on managing your customers so you can meet their expectations and challenges with everything that's going on with them too. Those things we talked about, extra winter bills and just the economy and what's going on with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for just that added context. And it's always nice to kind of talk with a landscaping company that's out, or lawn care operators. They're out in the field doing it, right? So just kind of curious about what was going on. I did want to transition now to the second location. And, one of the things I did not realize coming into the conversation, you were PE back, so I should have looked into that. But I am just kind of curious regarding like that second location, especially for you, Mike, with, this being kind of like four generations of family involved. Was it difficult at all to kind of make the decision to say, we are ready for an added location where, now our family's name is tied to two separate spots rather than just the one that you kind of always go to?
Yeah, no, it's a bigger deal than most people realize for me and my family, whether they're still involved or not, with the business. It's a big deal that we have a second location, and it's in Bethlehem. It's in the ABE area, Lehigh Valley, which is where a lot of this company really started. My grandfather, when he was starting everything up, he was running down there. He'd be down there for weeks at a time, making sales from a payphone and trying to get the thing off the ground. So pretty much since then, my whole life, anyways, I've been hearing everyone in my family talk about opening another branch in the ABE area. Um, it's pretty awesome to see it actually happen because it's always been in the back of everyone's mind, and now it's here. We're working out of it right now. It's up and running, so it's pretty great. I'm glad to be the one sitting in the hot seat while that's happening. I'm very proud of that within my family circle. Um, we would send guys down from our Wilkes-Barre Larksville location every day. And John, actually, it means a lot to him too, because he was one of the guys when he was on the road that would drive down there every single day for years, and that was his route down there. So it's a pretty big deal for us to have that building. It's a long time coming, and we're glad to be here. So I'm sure John feels the same as far as it's like, holy smokes, we've come a long way because he was the guy that was his area. So it's great. Yeah.
John, do you feel that same way?
I do. It's super exciting to see it actually come to fruition, as they say. So, when I first started here, as Mike had mentioned, my area was Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton. We used to go into Phillipsburg and the surrounding area, and I hit a time when I was doing production on the road, we're also doing sales, that the area was just the right size for one person to go down, do all the services and the sales and make the estimate calls and handle that part of it. And it grew. So we had flirted around back in the day about opening up another location, but it was hard to pull all those pieces together. So we're excited with the backing of the PE now to be able to do that. And the area I just Mike mentioned about his grandfather. When I first started, he was the guy showing me how to do sales and estimates, and we shared a love of the area. I could tell he was passionate about the Allentown area. It's a little bit different than Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. It's not Philly. It's halfway between geographically and halfway between demographics too. So, and it's got really good soil. They honestly got to have really good farm soil there, and it just seems like a great lawn area. I've heard research done that Allentown is one of the top markets in the country for lawn care, and we held it together that way. And then we had people going back and forth, and now we're there, and I see the guys getting established there, and it reminds me of some old times and old customers, and I'm super excited. So a lot of opportunity for people moving forward.
Mike, I wanted to ask you about the PE firm backing you and whether or not that was opening another location was always part of the plan, right? Part of the calculus when you decide to go private equity.
I mean, I think that was the driving factor that really hit home with us when we were approached by the PE firm. It was kind of like, shit, we could actually do what we've always been talking about doing for literally decades. The first year we had to get everything together and make plans and figure out what we were doing. But now, 3 years later, after being teamed up, we're here and we're doing it. So yeah, that was a big factor of it. And the main thing with them is we're able to do things that we've always talked about doing that we couldn't handle doing on our own before. So it's great having that support.
How do you know when you are ready to add on a second location, right? Like I think John mentioned it before, like when you're looking at potentially adding a second location, but there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of different things that you may or may not be able to do. How do you know when, as a company, you are actually ready to take on all of those moving parts? And what are some of those considerations?
I think part of it is the market. So we know that there's a lot of opportunity there. It was hard for us to really go gangbusters on marketing and a big push for it when we knew geographically we were going back and forth and had to be careful. We have enough employees and the right equipment to do that. And when we first got involved with the PE, there was talk of trying to do what they call tuck-ins to other businesses that might be tucked into our work down in that area and grow that fashion. What they're doing now is giving us the opportunity to open the building and really create that opportunity for ourselves with a bigger push and where it goes in the future. I mean, I'm sure there's other avenues of growth, but we knew going back and forth is costing in gas, if nothing else. It's wear and tear on your equipment. As far as getting product and where do we store it, we were keeping our trucks in a smaller location where we were able to get water and just park, but not really store materials. So we had to go and run every day and pick materials up. Now we have a place we can get a better deal delivering them there, saving money and cost that way too. So it's just the pieces of the puzzle is starting to come together, and there's a bigger labor market there. We know if we're situated and set, we can reach out and start to get more employees, and that did happen. We found that we had a big response to attending some job fairs and putting the usual resources indeed in that, but just a bigger response in that area just from population. So we know it's there and an opportunity to move on it, and got to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, we were a little different too as far as, you know, being ready. We've had decades of research for this location. So it's not like we just picked a spot on the map and said, "Here you go." We've had a presence there. We've been going to it. We have the information to see what we need to do. How many guys is it going to take? How big do we want to grow it? We know the areas, so I think we were we were a little ahead of most people that want to try and do that. Unless, if you're already dabbling in an area, you're already collecting research, so you're one step closer to making that move.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I am wondering now because you're opening the second location and we're also jumping into the height of the spring season, right? So I'm kind of curious, are there things that have happened, like challenges that you've had to face operationally that you were expecting and some maybe that you weren't, that you would caution other landscapers, if they're opening up a second location to just kind of consider that you have been able to learn from already in this process?
We planned ahead. If I gave advice to somebody, I would say plan farther ahead, as far ahead as you can plan, because we had the busiest winter that we've ever had since I've known Mike, and planning ahead and getting things done. But everything is delayed. It's like construction. How long till that's done? 2 weeks. Well, times two, right? That's 4 weeks. It's like that when you plan things. So getting a building, searching for locations, getting it finalized with however you're going to get that building, it just takes time. And then certain avenues of advertising, and we live in a digital age where if you're doing anything with Google, there's things tied in with securing the location and proving it, and you have to document it, and you have to get reviews and things. It takes time for things to get rolling. So to try and do that in the winter to be ready for a spring rush, I think we did a really good job. But if you were able to do it a year ahead and be ready even further along, I think more like established to really hit on day one of like March 1st, rather than still be kind of putting some pieces of the puzzle together. But that's nobody's fault because it just takes time to get all those pieces together. So yeah, the further ahead you can plan and give yourself, I would say a year ahead of what your target date is to start thinking about it.
I just wanted to ask one more question, and either of you can answer this, but I'm just curious about maintaining sort of the brand and maintaining sort of your quality of work across multiple locations. Obviously, you've dabbled with this market in the past and operated in it, so in some sense, like you kind of already know how to do that, but especially maintaining that quality with a second location and maintaining even company culture with multiple locations. Um, I guess the question is like, how do you do that, and what are some of the concerns, or what are some of the ways that you can actually maintain that standard?
So there's a couple things. First, we I think the biggest thing is the guy who's in charge of that building down there managing it. He's been with us for several years. Exceptional employee, top of his class, let's say. Um, and we trust him. So you got to have somebody that you trust if you're going to put them in that location. And he gets our culture, he gets how we do things. And honestly, it just runs pretty smooth if you have the right person in the right place. And you got to be able to trust them that they're going to keep everything going. Now, he's not down there just cowboying it. We check in on him. We're constantly going down there. As far as the new hires go, it's the same as up here. Quality control. That manager down there, he's keeping an eye on them, going out on the road with them, constantly doing checks. We're sending another service manager from up here. He's actually going down on Friday to do some checks. So you definitely have to have your ducks in a row with you got to keep an eye on things, but you also got to trust the guy that you have in place to know that he's going to do the job that you want done.
Plus, we bring those guys back up to the former location to train with us too. So we keep in touch and touch bases and have them come here to train at least every other week so that they're in tune with because our main location is where we have all the administrative work done. We also do all the production here in this area, but the Bethlehem location for us is really a warehouse environment. The trucks are working out of with the equipment and product, but we have those employees come here to train to see the culture, like you're saying, so they can see the office and get the gist of what we're about and even company history and just get to know everybody. So
And
uh,
that's a good point too. One of the things that we're doing these first couple years with this second location is we're not doing any administrative things down there. We don't have an office staff down there. Our main office is in Wilkes-Barre, so all that stuff is handled up here, which is taking a little bit of heat off. That would be some extra stress trying to start another office as well. So we're doing it in stages. I guess that's a good piece of advice is to try and do it in stages and work your way up. You can't go from 0 to 60, 0 to 100. You got to do it in steps, we think.